corgis. So I have a bunch of apparel samples on my bed right now. The reason being that I am looking to expand my apparel line, which is really exciting. So I'm looking to get t-shirts and hoodies done, and I also make them in-house, meaning that I press them at my home. And I think I will continue doing that just for a little bit, just because I kind of like the process, and I think it helps me understand apparel a bit more. So when I am looking at samples, I look at a multitude of different things. So the first one is, what am I trying to achieve? So for my apparel, I really like a baggier, cozier look, so I will tend to lean towards more unisex sizing and more boxier fits, just because that's what I personally like. And for me personally, I really do like thicker materials. However, I find that thicker materials tend to be a bit more on the rough side. If you do want a softer feel on your clothing, I do find that you are compromising a bit on the weight of the shirt, for example. So when you want a softer shirt, it tends to be a little bit thinner. So for me, I'm trying to find a good balance between the weight of the shirt and also making sure that soft, so it's not scratchy feeling. And of course, when you're looking at apparel, you do want to see how much it costs per unit. Of course, I am a business. I need to look at my financials and make sure that I am making money. I'm trying to find like the perfect shirt, but also I'm trying not to break the bank, because honestly, nicer blanks tend to be a lot more expensive. You really just have to take a look at where you are in your business if you're ready to make those financial commitments. So I am kind of in the point of my business where I can invest a little bit more on nicer apparel. I do have to note that nicer is subjective because it depends on what you value and what you're looking for in your apparel. So there's that. I'm going to continue trying on everything and taking notes and figure out what I like. Hi everyone, I'm back in my little office studio. I did forget to do a little bit of filming, but my partner and I did try some of the apparel on. I do like to include my partner a part of these apparel try-ons just so I can see how the apparel fits on different body sizes and people of different gender. So currently it is 1:30 in the morning. I do find that I like to do work late in the night because my partner is asleep, Oliver is asleep. No one really tends to reach out during this time, so I tend to be in my flow state and super undistracted, so I tend to get a lot of work done. So tonight I will be taking this little illustration that I drew in Procreate. This is going to be on the back of my new apparel, which I'm really excited for. But basically, I'm going to be taking it into Adobe Illustrator where I will be vectorizing it. And so what it means to vectorize an image is basically when you draw on a canvas such as Procreate, it is pixel based. And so what that means is if I wanted to upsize it or downsize it, the image would lose quality. And this isn't really good for print. If you're printing it on multiple different media, for example, if you're printing it on like a big sign or a sticker, you will definitely lose a lot of quality just sizing it over and over again. So when you vectorize something, you're turning that illustration and you're kind of applying math and geometrical formulas to it. And so each line is kind of like a formula created by the program, if that makes sense. And so what this calls for is that you're able to upsize or downsize this image without it losing quality. And so this is really good for stuff like typography and logos, for example. So if I want a big logo and I want it on like a billboard, for example, I'm able to size it for that. If I want to turn it into a sticker, I'm also able to downsize that image and it wouldn't lose any quality. Now, I'm vectorizing my artwork for my shirt because when you submit little like PNGs and JPEGs to print companies, a lot of things can go wrong just because they actually tend to convert it on their end, so they're able to print it out for you. However, I do find that there can be a lot of problems when it comes to that, and you're kind of putting that in the hands of the print company. So I like to vectorize things myself because whatever I submit, I know that's what's going to be printed. But also my print company does offer a little bit of discounts when you vectorize it yourself. So of course I'm going to save a little bit of money. Hopefully I did a decent job explaining what it means to vectorize something. You would think that I would be able to explain this properly considering that I did go to school for this stuff, but I just draw corgis for fun. Go, 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 come on. This way. So I just had a really stupid realization that I've been talking to my phone camera straight up without any microphone, but then I realized that I bought a fancy mic to make content like this. So moving forward for the rest of the week and hopefully for other videos that I make, I will remember to put this microphone on. Just thought I'd share because I feel really stupid that I bought this and didn't use it. But hopefully you guys enjoy the little audio upgrade for the rest of the week. So I actually pack orders in 2 different ways. The first way is this way, where I'm actually mass writing all of the thank you cards at once. So that way when I actually get to packing my orders, the thank you cards are already ready. Once I actually get to packing the orders, I will lay out all the cards, the thank you cards, just kind of like this, and then I will put each item onto the thank you card. I often do this method when I notice that a lot of the orders are smaller items such as stickers, washi tape, and enamel pins. The second way I pack orders is I will write the thank you card and then I will pack the order. Honestly, I choose which method depending on how I'm feeling that day, but I also like to take a look at the orders I received that week, and whenever I notice that there's a lot of smaller items, I will do this method, and if I have a lot more apparel orders, I will do the other method. But honestly, it just depends on how I'm feeling that day. Yes, good job. Ready? Go! Good boy! Are you having fun? Hello everybody, it's been 2 days since I've gone snowboarding, and the reason why I bring this up is because when I do more intense physical activities such as snowboarding, I find that my body tends to get sore about 2 days after doing the activity. So right now I am feeling a little bit tired and a little bit sore. I did have a little bit planned tonight, but I think I'm just going to hold off a little bit and take some time to ice myself, to stretch, and also maybe take a nap if I need to. Something that I've been working towards personally is changing the way I view rests. Previously, when I rested, I would consider it as doing nothing, therefore I felt unproductive. There would be times where my body was feeling exhausted and I wasn't feeling 100%, and I would power through that feeling, which ultimately led to burnout and also resentment towards the work I was doing. Rest is something that your body deserves, also you deserve for your mental health, and it's something that you should be regularly giving yourself. Prior to doing my shop full time, I kind of had the mindset of hustle culture and also having that go, go, go mentality. Now that I'm older, I realize that is extremely toxic and is not good for yourself. Even to this day, I'm still kind of working on breaking that hustle mindset and working towards more healthier work habits and proper resting routines, if that makes sense. With that being said, I'm just going to take a little bit of time to myself, and I'll check in tonight and see if I want to do any work. I'll catch you guys in a bit. So this isn't really shop content or even the right audience to be showing this stuff to, but if you're into dog ownership, you might have heard of feeding your dog raw. So I actually feed Oliver a DIY raw meal, meaning that I compile everything and I make meals for him on a bi-weekly basis because I'm kind of crazy like that. I am really into canine nutrition and canine training and behavior and whatnot, but this is very overkill for your average dog owner, but I just really like doing it because I get a lot of control into Oliver's food, and I thought I'd show it in the video because it might be new to some of you guys. Of course, I do want to show this because this does actually take up a decent amount of my time and whatnot. Yeah, just a whole hunk of raw meat for my dog. I don't know who would be interested, but if you are interested in learning more about raw diets or just the idea of me talking about the raw diet, I'm more than happy to talk about it. Just let me know in the comments, and I'll talk about how I got into it and all my resources and whatnot. Hello everybody, I just took a nap and I'm feeling quite refreshed. So right now what I'm doing is I'm preparing inventory for my shelves at a store called Makers. And basically what Makers is that they have a bunch of storefronts across BC, and they recently opened some up in Alberta. They're looking to open some up in Ontario as well. It's a shop where small business owners such as myself can go in and rent a space. They offer a lot of different types of spaces. So for example, they will provide a small shelf that you can put your products on, or for myself, I rented a 3-foot space at 2 different locations, And when I rent a makerspace, I'm allowed to bring in my own shelving and I get to set up the space the way I want to. And I really like Makers because it's a great way for me to put my products out there and also helps local people to discover me. It's honestly been really game-changing ever since I've entered Makers because it's allowed me to meet other business owners. And of course, I did join Makers because I wanted another source of income. And I really love Makers as another source of income because I do think it's quite passive in the sense that I spend about 2 to 3 days prepping out inventory for a location. I will basically go in and restock my shelf and give it a facelift if I need to, put in new products. Every product has a SKU of its own, which allows the cashier to input this. They're able to sell the item for you. And I really love Makers because although I do pay a monthly rent for 3 different locations, and it can be quite steep for some people, I personally find it really worth it because, again, I really value having a passive source of income. And like I said, it's a great way to put yourself out there. So how it works is that Makers has an internal platform which allows us to enter our SKU and all of our inventory and the amounts. It also shows us the transaction history so you know exactly what you sold, at what time, and at what location as well. I don't really feel comfortable showing the platform just because obviously it shows real transactions and whatnot and real information, but I will show you how I manage inventory on my end. I set up a Google Sheet that shows all of the different products I have and their SKUs, and on these columns over here I have all of the locations that I'm in. And if I were to open up the location, it basically shows all of the items that I brought in during my last restock. And so when I'm preparing for a restock, I do a couple of things. So I will look at the internal platform to see what I've sold over a certain time range. And then I will compare it to what I brought in during my last restock. And I sort of just do a little bit of basic math to figure out what I need to bring in. And on top of that, I do email my location for a physical photo of my shelf to see what's missing, because if something is sold out, you can clearly see that it's sold out. And also I'm a visual person, so I like to see what is physically missing from the shelf so I can, account for that. Each time I restock a shelf, it takes about 2 to 3 days to prep for a restock, but I find it completely worth it. And also I really love the team there. Everyone's very caring. They definitely really care for your business, which I really love. So just a bit of recap because I felt like that was information overload. Basically, Makers is a physical store. They can be located in malls or they can be their own storefronts. And small business owners like me will pay rent to be in the store. I didn't mention this earlier, but we do keep 100% of the sales, which is awesome. And I personally think it's a great passive source of income, a great way to put yourself out there in your local community, and also to meet other business owners, whether it's in the same category as you or something completely different. I've met a lot of people through this. If you're a Canadian maker based in BC, Alberta, or Ontario, I really recommend checking out Makers and seeing if there's any locations near you. Sometimes they actually do allow makers from different provinces to be in other stores. So for example, I am based in BC and Makers does have stores in Ontario, and if I was interested in putting my products in an Ontario store, they would allow me to apply, and I would basically ship my products in and ship my displays in. I find that Makers has definitely gained a lot of popularity amongst the small business community within the last year or so, and rightfully so. I really do believe that it's a really great way to elevate your business, add another source of income to your business, and also just a great way to meet and discover other people in your community. If you're a Canadian small business, especially if you're based in BC, Alberta, or Ontario, I would highly recommend checking out Makers and see if there's a location near you. I do know that the rent can be steep for a lot of people, and it can feel daunting because it can range from roughly like $300 to $900 depending on the size of your space and depending on the location. But personally for me, the way I justify it is that I will pay roughly the same amount for a 2 to 3 day event, while for Makers I'm paying this amount for a month, and my products are in a physical setting where people can shop. And when I do these in-person markets and events, I will often have to do the socializing and complete the sale. But when I have my products in a retail store, I just have to put my stuff onto display and it will sell itself, which is completely awesome.